Welcome back. So in the last class, we were talking about the execution of the call and return instructions. Just to continue, so I'll have a recap of the last minute discussion. Later, I will get a feedback from you whether you really understood the concept or not, because it is very important. Structured programming is a concept where the complete application is divided into sub-applications, or the complete task is divided into subtasks, and each subtask is coded independently, and it is called as a subroutine. Pictorially, it can be shown like that. There will be a main program, various subroutines are there. Then, when we write a programming, when we do programming in this scenario, what would be the structure of program? What the main program should contain? Very informally speaking, main program will be very, very small in size. It performs the job of coordinating the subroutine, that's all. It will contain various initializations, global initializations, which are common for all the subroutines. And it defines the various subroutines which are used in this particular programming environment. Later, it starts calling the various subroutine in a sequence as required by the programming logic or application. Finally, it consolidates the results and gives the final output to the user. This is the structure of a main program. Subroutines are very independently coded, and they represent each and every subtask. In such a scenario, to call the subroutine, call instruction is used. To return from the program control back to the main program, return instruction is used. Then, how call and return instruction is executed? It is written in green color. I have used the same diagram, same blocks. In red color, I wrote an instruction there, A call sub 1. A call sub 1. Sub 1 is the label which is used to indicate the starting address of subroutine 1. That A call instruction is situated at 0008. The current content of program counter is 000A. How did I got 000A? A call sub 1 is a 2-byte instruction because it is an absolute range, and that subroutine 1 would definitely range from -128 to +127 bytes. So that sub 1 is a signed integer. It is a signed integer. It will be a positive integer when the subroutine 1 is situated in the address in the forward direction. It would be a negative integer when the subroutine is situated in the backward address range. Anyhow, the content of program counter, current content of program counter is 000A. With these values, let us explain how call and return instruction is working. The first step, when call instruction is executed, the very first step is the content of program counter, in this case it is 000A, is pushed automatically into the stack. What is a stack? Stack is a lost in first out data structure. It is a separate memory reserved for use of programmer as well as for the use of processor. Processor uses the stack like this. When a call instruction is executed, the current content of program counter is pushed into the stack. Second step is program counter is copied with after its address is pushed into the stack. Now program counter is copied with the starting address of the subroutine, which is indicated in the call instruction, so that the program control is transferred to subroutine 1. PC is copied with the starting address of the subroutine. That is, in this case, it is sub1. It is copied with the value present in sub1, the value which is computed using sub1. You know that for 000A, that value of sub1 is added, so that you will get the target address of sub1. So that program control is transferred to sub1. Third point, subroutine is executed later. When the subroutine execution is over, the last instruction in the subroutine is return. So when a return instruction is encountered, whatever was pushed into the stack, what was pushed into the stack? Return address of the main program is pushed into the stack as a first step. So whatever was pushed into the stack is popped to program counter and control is transferred back to the main program. So this is how a call and return instruction is executed. So now I will come back to my chat area and I will ask you, have you understood? So have you understood? It's a very, very important scenario of structured program where you will be using call and return instructions. I think Ajit AM is very much bothered about the attendance. I am asking you the question whether you understood. You write present sir as the answer. That's how you give importance to our lectures. Instructions. So let us come back to the presentations. So two types of the call instructions are there. One is L call, the other one is A call. So A call is used in an absolute range. L call is used in application programs where you can situate the subroutines at anywhere in a memory address range of 64 kilobytes. So whatever I have told here, once again, it is written in a bookish type. When a subroutine is called, control is transferred to that subroutine. The processor saves on the stack the address of the instruction immediately below the L call or A call, begins the fetching instructions from the new location. After finishing the execution of the subroutine, instruction RET transfers control back to the caller. Each subroutine needs RET as the last instruction. So this is a scenario. Very neat explanation. You can just see L call delay, a subroutine you are calling. So upon executing L call delay, the address of the instruction below it. What is the address of the instruction below it? Which is the address of move A, #AA. Address of that is pushed into the stack. 85th one starts to execute at 300H. At 300H, you are having the subroutine. That is the delay subroutine. that will be executed. So when R5 becomes 0, the control falls to the RET instruction, which pops the address from the stack into the program counter and resumes executing the instruction after call instruction. So this is a scenario of call and return instruction. The address below the call instruction is pushed into the stack. Then program counter is copied with the address of the subroutine. In this case, it is 300. Program control goes there and starts executing this delay subroutine. When return instruction is encountered, whatever was pushed into the stack is popped into the program counter again, and the control is transferred back to the main program and it starts executing it. It starts executing it. So this is a scenario of call instruction. More details. See, address below lcall delay is 0007. That is the address below lcall delay. You can see that is pushed into the stack. You can just see the stack frame there. Stack frame 0700. Module 3 is stacked. We will discuss that stack in detail now for a moment, because every topic is connected here. In microcontroller, that is the speciality. We cannot go in the order of the subroutine, order of the syllabus. Somewhere some thick jumps may be there in our explanation. So you can see 0007 is the address below the call instruction that is pushed into the stack. The stack frame is shown, you see. So 07 is pushed first, 00 is pushed later. So lower byte always goes first and higher byte is last. That's how it is pushed into the stack. Later, now you can say what's happening. What's happening, you can just say. Push and pop instructions you are using at this subroutine. Push and pop instructions. So after push 4 is nothing but push R4. 4 is the address of R4. What is the content of R4? 99. You can just see that. That is pushed into the stack. After push 5 is nothing but push R5. So you are pushing 67. So now 67 is in the top of the stack, which is the content of R5. Which is the content of R5. Which is the content of R5. So normally the number of push and pop instructions must always match in any called subroutine. So finally you are popping. So when you are popping, you should always pop first 5, then only 4, because stack is a last in first out data structure. So order of pop should be reversed. So this is a scenario of call instruction, calling subroutine. You can just see main program is content of main program in general we have seen. It just does the coordination job. It simply calls various subroutine, lcall subroutine 1, lcall subroutine 2, lcall subroutine 3. It is common to have one main program and many subroutines that are called from the main program. This allows you to make each subroutine into a separate module. Each module can be tested separately and then brought together with the main program. In a large programming scenario, the module can be assigned to different programmers. So this is a general perception of structured programming. There will be one main program and many subroutines which are representing as a module. So what are the advantages of this structured programming environment? Independent modules can be tested. When it is tested and found okay, then they can be brought together as a main program. So this is a scenario where various subroutines are called. You can just see return instruction is the last instruction in every subroutine. The only difference between A call and L call is target address for L call can be anywhere within 64 kilobytes. The target address of A call must be within 2 kilobyte range. The use of A call instead of L call can save number of bytes of the program ROM space. So whenever we use in our programming, we always use A call because we will write a very shorter or a pilot program just to understand the concept of programming. So unnecessarily do not let us use L call, because in L call the address range, target address range is, it spaces to 64 kilobytes, and L call instruction is a 3-byte instruction. Unnecessarily you should not use it. Whenever it is required in a larger programming environment, in a big programming environment where you are coding a big application, then you will be using L call. Okay, you can just see that. First program and the next program. Next program is an efficient program. You can just see. Just go through the program. Move A has 55. That you are loading A with 55. And you are sending 55, that is A, to port 1. And you are calling some delay. After that, you are moving AA and putting it to port 1, and you are calling it delay. How this program can be more efficient? How can you save the number of bytes while you write a program? See, normally in an interview, whenever you are asked to write an assembly language program, for example, you are into a core company, then you would be asked, write a program which will take the RAM space of 20 bytes. That is, each and every byte, each and every instruction when you are selecting, you should be very careful. So it is a shorter, or it is a very pilot programming environment. Usage of L call is ruled out. You should not use unnecessarily. So L call is replaced by A call. That is one change. Second change is move A comma hash AA. What is AA? Actually, if you just observe, AA is the complement of 55. That is why rather than writing move A comma 0 hash 0 AA, which is taking 2 bytes, because opcode of move is 1 byte, AA is the value, so it takes another byte. Rather than that, you can write simply complement accumulator, CPLA. Both the programs are same, but the second program is efficient than the first program. So that is very important. So CPU executes an instruction, takes a certain number of clock cycles. So before going to the next article, so let me take a feedback from you. Did you got just program which I have explained? So have you understood the concept of a call? Very important. Have you understood the concept of a call? I'm asking, have you understood the concept of a call? So if you example, on call instruction. Write a program to test a byte as even or odd if a byte is even. If a byte is even, find the square of the byte else find else find or else perform XOR operation with a value present in memory location 40H. So let us code this program. Let us use call and return instruction scenario. So we will have a main program. In the main program, you have to test whether the byte is even or not. We can do some initialization. Move a comma 30H. So how do you check whether it is even or odd? You can just do RRCA. Jump carry means it is even. Sorry, odd. Otherwise, it is even. So you are calling a call subroutine 1. And you can stop SJMP stop. So when it is odd, you are calling a call subroutine 2. And you can stop. Stop. SJMP star. And so very simple program. So this is subroutine 1. You can code subroutine 1. I am coding it in a different color for your benefit. What it is telling? If it is even, test a byte. If a byte is even, find the square of the byte. Okay. Find the square of the byte. So what you can do? Simple. Move a comma 30. Move a comma 30. Move b comma 30. Or move b comma a. Move b comma a. Mul b. So that is how you find the square. After that, move 31 comma a. Move 32 comma b. Return. So now subroutine 2. Subroutine 2. Subroutine 2 is telling you have to perform the XOR operation with a value present in memory location 40. So here also move a comma 30. XOR logical XRL A with 40. Move 41 comma A. Return. This is the scenario. That's all. See here. So this is your main program. This is your main program. Hope you have understood the program. You have to test whether the byte is even or odd. All you should execute this program, in the Microvision, you should execute and check whether you are getting the answer or not. So this is memory location 30. Here you have a value, for example, 08. 08 is a even number. So you rotate right through carry, jump, carry means odd. Otherwise it is even, no? It executes the next instruction. Next instruction is what? A calls subroutine 1. Subroutine 1, what does it do? It performs, it moves accumulator 30, once again it reads because it is rotated, no? Value would have been changed. So once again, afresh you read from the memory location 30. B is also containing 8. A to B you have done. So 8 into 8 it does, multiplies. You will get 64. So you will get the answer as 40H. So in the location 31, you will have the answer 40H. In 32 location, you will have it 00. So I have accommodated for 16-bit result. So this is another one scenario. Let us take, this is case 1. Let us take case 2. What is case 2? Case 2 is memory location 30 is containing the value 9. So 9 is an odd number. So if it is an odd number, it is writing A call sub 2. So in sub 2, See, when you are, one very important is this one. See, whenever you are typing this, what you have to do, you know, main program you should type first, then you sub2, sub1 you type, then you sub2 you type. Here you should write end. Program end is the last. After typing two subroutines, you should type end. Understand it very clearly. It is end of the complete program. So after subroutine 2, you should have end. Okay. So now 9 is an odd number. So it will generate a carry. So it will a call sub 2. So the program control jumps here. So what happens? It copies 9 to accumulator. 9 is this. So there is a memory location 40. Memory location 40. You will have the data, some other data. Maybe it is something 25. So 25H is 0010, 0101. It performs the XOR operation. 1 XOR 1 is 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0. So after XOR operation, you will get the answer as 2CH. So in the location 41H, you should have 2C as the answer. So just to demonstrate how actually the ACALL instruction works, I have written this program, right? A program to test a byte, whether it is even or odd. If a byte is even, find the square of the byte. Else you perform the XOR operation with the value present in the memory location 40. So now all of you answer your attendance for this session. Every of you answer your attendance. Meantime, I will ask you, have you understood? So after answering your attendance, you can answer this question, answer my query. Have you really understood this? So understood this program? It's very, very important program as far as the concept is concerned. Very nice scenario. So meantime, so in the previous slide, you know, in the previous slide, whatever is explained, also I will explain, I will put forth once again. So in the first program he wrote move a comma hash 55 h. So now he is writing ACALL, some subroutine 1. Afterwards he is writing move a comma hash a, something like this. So here is written LCALL. So I told you, if writing LCALL is expensive because LCALL takes 3 bytes. Very important. Rather than writing like this, what you can do, move a comma hash 55, you can write. Rather than writing LCALL, you can write ACALL. ACALL. That is always used in our pilot programming when you write a small program. And see, what is 55? 55 is this. What is A? A is this. You can just observe these 2 bytes. So A is complement of 55. You can observe. So rather than writing move a comma hash a, you can write here CPL A, complement A. That is how this program is optimum. That is how this program is optimum. So this is the optimum way of writing the program. So that is what the concept is. So this completes actually the branch instructions. Branch instructions. So in the next class, we can discuss a different topic, application of branch instruction, that is called as concept of delay program. That we will discuss it in the next class. So I will stop here.